We're in a digital age now, so one question I've asked is, what will happen to the 5 minds in an age of social networks and multitasking and instant messaging? Respect and ethics are going to be difficult in the digital era because it's easier to be respectful and ethical if you see people face to face every day, as we did in small neighborhoods. But so much contact now is impersonal via the internet. People can have all kinds of different identities in social networks. People can be quite deceptive, and I think we have to work out over the next decades new kinds of ethics which are appropriate to the digital age. Many of you are educators, and so a common question is, how can we be aware of the 5 minds? We should always be looking for examples from history or from the news of respect or disrespect. I said how our American television is so filled with disrespect, and that's very unfortunate. When there are examples of respect, we should honor those. Of course, as educators, it's more important that we ourselves model and explicate and embody these minds. So whenever possible, we should show how to respect, how to synthesize, how to create. Also, it's important to identify negative examples, syntheses which don't work, false creativity, lack of discipline, disrespect, unethical behavior. And there needs to be consequences. If somebody continues to be unethical in a community, they need to be identified and punished. We've been working on this, but I'm not going to describe that work now. But instead, I want to say that these 5 minds don't necessarily fit together comfortably. There's a conflict between discipline and creativity. If you're too disciplined, you'll probably never do anything creative. So there's a conflict there. There's also a conflict between respect and creativity. If you have a teacher, you owe the teacher respect, but often creativity means overthrowing, critiquing your own teacher, and that can be very uncomfortable. And so in the end, ultimately, everybody has to create his or her own synthesis. We need to find ways to get these 5 minds to work together comfortably. That's actually a job of intrapersonal intelligence. How do you understand yourself well enough to get these different minds to work together? I have some slides of people who I think are good citizens. One is Nelson Mandela, probably the most admired human being on the planet. Another one is Mahatma Gandhi, who I think was the most important figure of the last 1,000 years in terms of human relations. But it's much too early to know whether Gandhi's example will be accepted even in his own country. Because Gandhi showed how people can disagree and conflict without hurting one another. And of course, in the nuclear age, that's a tremendous imperative. And actually, the third slide is somebody who has been in the news recently, but I often have shown her, and this is Aung San Suu Kyi, the dissident in Myanmar who has lived under house arrest for most of her adult life, trying to introduce more democratic processes in that military regime. Now, none of us in this room is likely to be Nelson Mandela or Mahatma Gandhi or Aung San Suu Kyi, but nonetheless we can learn from people like that. We can be inspired by them, and that's important as well.